Welcome to The Fault Line, the channel that cuts through the noise and calls it exactly as it is. Make sure you are subscribed. Let's get into it. Democrats have spent months talking about a blue wave in 2026, comparing it to 2018, acting like history is about to repeat itself. It is not. And today we are going to prove exactly why. Let me put this in perspective. 2018 was a perfect storm for Democrats. Stormy Daniels, Russia, Trump hysteria dominating every single headline every single day. Democrats controlled the entire cultural conversation, and they rode that wave all the way to a massive House majority. 2026 looks nothing like that. Nothing. Instead of a unified front marching toward victory, what we are seeing is a political party tearing itself apart from the inside. Loss after loss. Legal defeats, procedural setbacks, a Senate strategy that is crumbling before it even gets started, and an identity crisis so severe that even their own establishment has stopped pretending everything is fine. There is no blue wave coming. There is a blue implosion already underway. And nowhere is that more obvious than what is happening with their two biggest Senate hopes, James Tellerico and Graham Plattner. Let's start with Graham Plattner.
Do you have concerns about Graham Plattner?
Well, first I'll say is, I've been very much focused on the crisis in my home state, so I haven't been able to focus as much on this. This information's out there with any campaign in the country. Character and the transparency about the different candidates is going to come out. That's part of a campaign. And the voters will decide what it is that they ultimately think in terms of their ability to trust those candidates.
What do you think?
Well, look, right now, for me, I have not met him. I've never talked to him yet.
Does he pass the character test?
Yeah, I mean, I have not followed this story as closely as others have, but I mean, Graham Plattner is somebody that served our country. He served his community. He's also made mistakes, and he has admitted that.
What do you think about Graham Plattner's posts? They're controversial ones, the lewd posts he's made. Are you surprised more Democrats aren't calling for him to step out?
I have not been focusing on this race. I am going to do my due diligence and look through the full body of evidence around him. Yes, and I know he has a case to make to the voters, not to people like me, and I know he'll be called to make that case, and he needs to make it because obviously this election is highly consequential.
Well, add this one to the pile, and it's a growing pile. A bombshell sexting scandal rocking Democrat Graham Plattner's primary bid for the U.S. Senate in Maine. Plattner's campaign now dragging his wife into the mess to try to explain it.
It makes me really angry, disappointed, and I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on, like healthcare and education and childcare.
Our city correspondent Eric Shawn with all the details. Speaking of spreading gossip, wasn't it his wife who brought this to the campaign's attention?
Well, yeah, apparently that's the report, John, that she did last August, and that has now sparked new questions about the Maine Democratic Senate candidate being raised today by Democrats. That after the revelations that he engaged in sexual texts with multiple women. Plattner has been hit with the accusations that he had been sexting women last year. He married his wife, Amy, last year. The texting became public after reporting, including in the Wall Street Journal, that Amy told the campaign about it in the summer, hoping to contain any political damage. Well, the former campaign staffer who initially spoke to the Wall Street Journal about the text, later posting a text message from another staffer that she says threatened to smear her and calls her a liar if she went on the record with the story about the text. Oh, this happens to be just the latest controversy over the candidate. In an old social media post, Plattner called white rural people stupid and racist. He dismissed rape in the military. He then later apologized for those old texts. He does blame the media for reporting on them.
It's no surprise to me that the establishment media outlets are just going to run gossip instead of wanting to talk about the things that actually matter in this race, which are the material realities that the Mainers are working with. These people are going to try to make this race about anything but what it's supposed to be about, which is policy.
This is supposed to be the race, the crown jewel of Democrat Senate ambitions. unseating longtime Republican incumbent Susan Collins in Maine. If Democrats were serious, if they actually believed in this guy, they would be pouring millions upon millions of dollars behind him without hesitation. Instead, they are distancing themselves from him. No ringing endorsements, no enthusiastic rallying, just reluctance and silence from the very party that needs him to win. Cory Booker, one of the most prominent Democrat senators, openly admitted he had not even been paying attention to the race, the top Senate race of the entire cycle, and he had not been paying attention to it. That tells you everything.
Do you have concerns with the weight of all these controversies that it may jeopardize Democratic hopes to get that Senate seat in Maine?
Yeah, I have concerns. That guy has questions to answer, and that's what campaigns are for.
And now, Plattner's betting odds are collapsing. He was sitting at over 75% chance to flip that seat. Overnight, he plunged to 59% and falling. The market sees what the Democrat establishment already knows: this guy is cooked. And here is what makes this truly fascinating. Historically, the Democrat Party always rallied behind their candidate. No matter how controversial, no matter how incompetent, no matter how corrupt, they circled the wagons every single time. We saw it with Joe Biden. We saw it with Hillary Clinton. They defend their own always. Not this cycle. The Democrat establishment is in full-blown panic mode because they can see exactly where this is heading. More Plattner types, more Mamdani types. Self-avowed communists with closets full of skeletons running under the Democrat banner. The far-left hostile takeover of the party is no longer a threat. It is already happening. And the establishment is watching helplessly as it burns everything down. Then there is James Tellerico in Texas. Democrats have been hyping this guy as the next great thing. The white Barack Obama, they keep calling him. And look, I can see a slight resemblance. Frail, spineless, completely out of touch with the people he is supposedly representing. Ken Paxton leads him by nearly 20 points in the betting odds. Paxton sitting at 58%, Tellerico at 42% and sinking. And why is he sinking? Because Texas is getting a good look at exactly who this man is. This is a candidate who stood up and told voters in Texas of all places, that God is essentially non-binary. Democrats want to call it a biblical explanation. They want to say his words were taken out of context. They were not. He was sending a direct message to every confused young person in America that God was just like them, non-binary. And by extension, validating every radical gender ideology talking point the left has been pushing for years in Texas. The man is running in Texas. Even Bill Maher's not buying it. When you have lost Bill Maher, you have lost the plot completely. So let's zoom out and look at the full picture. In Maine, a candidate with a growing list of scandals that his own party will not defend. In Michigan, a terrorist sympathizer aligning himself with anti-American forces projected to lose. In Texas, a vegan trans rights advocate telling Texans that God is non-binary. This is the Democrat Party's bench in 2026. This is who they are sending into battle. They enabled the extreme radical left for so long that it has now completely consumed the party. There is no meritocracy left inside the DNC, no ability to identify real talent, no coherent policy direction, just a rotating cast of radical grifters who are completely disconnected from normal working Americans. 2018 had energy, unity, a clear enemy and a clear mission. 2026 has chaos, dysfunction, infighting, and candidates so radical that even lifelong liberals are publicly expressing doubt. This is not the formation of a blue wave. This is the slow motion collapse of a political party that has completely lost its way. And in November 2026, American voters are going to make that crystal clear. Every story has a fault line and we find it. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button right now. We are just getting started.